So I start. Okay, good. So let's start. So I'm running a radio show in France since now almost 10 years, and I received your album, the first one, quite some years ago, and I really thought in the back of my mind that I should really make an interview with you. I mean, we could talk about guitar for probably the next century, but we will try to get focus on the couple of questions that I place. Okay.
All right.
Okay, good. So it's really a joy to have the chance to exchange a bit with you. I still remember back in 2019 the pleasant surprise hearing the quality of your music for a self-made album, the first one, where you played almost all the instruments, right? Except the keyboards, I guess.
Yeah, I did one song on keyboards, but I remember sitting up all night just trying to play a simple blues rhythm keyboard part. That's the only keys I can play. But yeah, on that album I played everything, man.
I can't believe how fast the things have developed since then, because it was like a kind of do you say sophomore? Because it's not your first record. You have record with your other band before, but it was kind of the start of 89 volts, right?
Yeah, so we were making records with our old band, and that was the indie rock kind of synth rock band, and honestly, we were finding that it was really hard to sound like make recordings sound good. We figured out that honestly, if we just tried to make stuff sound old, it was a lot easier because of the gear we had. Because we didn't have anything. We had like one preamp and a microphone and a trailer, and and so we've honestly one day I just got I kid you not, I got a 6-pack of beer and I set up one mic over the drum and I set my one amp in the other room, and I said I just want to make a blues record the way that I think it should sound, and then one song sounded pretty good and I just kept going, and then Tinsley Ellis, who was a big mentor of mine, he said, this is really good, you should keep up with this. So here we are.
Oh, cool. So let's go back a bit for a little bit of biography for the one which don't know you yet, which is surprising because I passed I broadcast your records many times, so they should be aware now, but still. So you're born in Atlanta, right, in Georgia?
Yep, about 30 minutes south of the city, of Atlanta, okay. Georgia.
And I read that you have left school around 15 to become a musician. That's the reality, yeah.
I was very lucky. It was the school that all the delinquents went to that got kicked out or expelled, and it was just this Christian college. And I don't base any religion on anything. It was a school that I could go to, that they would hand me a packet of work on Monday, and I had to bring it back the next Monday with it done. But I could gig all during the week and gig during the.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So but it was definitely I technically I guess I dropped out of regular high school and I went to like this Christian academy, but it wasn't. I mean, like I said, they just gave you a packet of work and they said bring it back next. And they said as long as you believe in God, we'll make you pass.
Very good. So how was the reaction of your family when you kind of decide that you want to be serious about music and you want to maybe pursue a career in music?
It was kind of a rough time. My parents were going through a rough split, and my dad was always he was the one that told me I should do the alternative school and everything. He was always wanted us to push us to do our career, but yeah, it was kind of a rough time because if they weren't kind of focused on this is kind of deep, but if they weren't focused on divorce and all that stuff, I think that they might have been more focused on me trying to get schooling and all that. But in hindsight, it was really best for me because I was able to focus on music and kind of put school aside,
Yeah. Good thing at least.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about your influence for a bit. It seems to be quite vast, as I can judge and as I can hear through your records. I can hear definitely some Sean Costello, Michael Bloomfield, or even Freddie King. But
Oh yeah.
what was your early contact to the blues? How that you know, that's the typical question. How a white boy get the blues in Atlanta? How did you get in touch with? Is it records or is it concerts that you've been to?
You know, that's a good question. I wish I had this grand story that, you know, I was walking around Newport and saw all this blues and stuff. But the reality is, you know, I grew up in a great time of YouTube and stuff, and that's honestly I played in. I was raised with Metallica, and my dad was a, you know, a '90s metal guy, and that's what we started off. I was a drummer at. We played death metal, believe it or not, and
Okay.
and uh, and so I was the drummer, and we did. Then we went from death metal to folk music, and then we got kicked out of the folk band because we were too death metal, of course, and uh, and
Yeah.
uh, and then we ended up. My buddy asked me. He said, hey, he knew that I played guitar, you know, decently for a 14-year-old, and he was like, look, we got this gig at this 50s diner, and I need you to be able to sing like an hour's worth of tunes. And I was like, crap, I got to figure this out. So I went and I typed in 50s and 60s music, and I was a huge Beatles head. I mean, Beatles are the people who really taught me harmony and songwriting. And right next to the Beatles, you know, I was looking at a suggestion video. It was Howlin' Wolf live at Newport, and I was like, "Whoa, this is weird."
Oh,
So I clicked that. It was that video from him in 1966, and you got Son House. Son House is drunk as a skunk, and he's doing this, trying to act like he's telling Howlin' Wolf how to play and stuff. But that was the video that really got me onto the blues. And
okay.
as soon as I watched that video, it was on a Magic Sam, Junior Wells, Buddy Guy, Otis Rush. It was just a it
The
was that.
whole.
Then I was like, this is what I was 13 years old. I was like, this is the
Yeah.
music I like.
Oh,
So
great. Yeah. I was wondering also, because it will come later in the conversation about your new album. Were you also listening to soul music when you started to be kind of immersed into the blues? Was it like focus only on like Chicago blues, Texas, whatever, or was it
yeah,
like all around black music?
at that time it was probably been just blues. I used to be one of those guys that, you know, like around town we call them, you know, blues purists and stuff. And you know, I used to be that kid that was like, if it ain't, you know, Snooky Pryor or something, you're not listening to the real thing. But you know, I listen to that, and you know, with any kind of music, you can kind of go down a rabbit hole, and you can be so deep in the hole, you're just like, you know, you can't even see the way out. But
Yeah.
but you know, I started listening to soul music. I mean, I was listening to Canned Heat. I mean, I was the YouTube really was showing me everything. I
Yeah.
remember I used to act like I was tripping on LSD. What I would do, I would play Grateful Dead live audio, and on the old computers, you could press like screensaver, and it had that psychedelic little thing. And when I was like 15, I was like, this is what acid must be like. And but no, I was, you know, I always all that kind of music just engulfed in itself. You know, if I was listening to Grateful Dead, they were doing "Turn on Your Love Light," and then all of a sudden I was like, "Well, who does this song?" And it's Bobby Blue Band, Bland.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I got into soul music. And being from the South, you know, I
Yeah.
really got into. It really started with getting into Al Green, and Al Green was a huge influence to me. I was like, man, this is really how I'd like to make music. And then I just started going down the rabbit hole of Muscle Shoals, Stax, High Studios, Syl
Okay.
Johnson, Howard Tate. Then I mean, that's what when I dive into something, I go extremely deep, man.
Okay. You are passionate for the story also of the blues and the music by itself. Yeah,
Hmm.
makes sense. So if I'm not right, Lane is your brother, right?
He's
You
my brother.
had
Yes.
you had a trio, Georgia Flute in 2014. Uh,
Yeah.
so how did the chemistry between you develop? Did you learn to play music together?
Oh yeah. When I mentioned the metal band and the folk band, I've never been in a band without my brother. It's
Okay.
my brother. My brother's always been the bass player. He's the brains of the operation. He's a lot smarter than me, and you know, he's the guy that says, we probably shouldn't do this. But and he's the guy that records and mixes and masters, and he's me and my brother. It's kind of like the Chess brothers a little bit, if you will. We've always been in business.
Okay. And about also the fact that you, if I'm not mistaken, you co-wrote some song with him, right? So he's also part of the process of the songwriting.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, for sure, 100%. Everything we do from this point on is 50-50.
Okay, so you work together on ideas, or are you just like jamming together and then see what comes out of the jam?
Um, Nowadays, used to we'd get in a room and we'd all just sit around in the room and write music. And Lane used to, when we were in the synth pop band, he was heavily on the synths and stuff, and he would be the one to bring in the ideas with that. But with Eddie Ninevolt, it's honestly mainly me listening to some music and coming in and just with the ideas, and he's the guy that hits record and makes it sound old. So, but this recent album with Capricorn was a lot more. I guess it was kind of like Little Black Flies, where I wanted the musicians to impact the album just as much as I did, and I use the musicians almost as songs, as if they were songs. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the way we did it on this album, though.
Yeah. Can we go back to your meeting with Roof Records? How did you connect with those guys? I think that they came to see you kind of in a live situation, and they got blown away and they signed you to the label. Is that how it came?
Yeah. So the story with Roof was pretty funny, man. Basically, we hit a crossroads where we knew we weren't going to go any further, just putting records out on our own, and I had this idea. I had this old 40s typewriter, and I was like, when a guy named Rick Lusher and you might know Rick Lusher,
Yeah.
he gave me all these radio lists and everything to send my CD to, and honestly, I was so broke I couldn't afford it. But he sent me also some label heads, and it was like Fat Possum, Alligator. Anyway, so I was living at my grandparents at the trailer at the time, and I was sitting on the dam of their lake, and I had a typewriter, and I typed out letters to Bruce Iglauer from Alligator and Thomas Roof. And I said, blah, 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 sign me.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a response from Alligator. Tinsley Ellis ended up telling me that this was my Left My Soul in Memphis record.
Yeah.
And Tinsley told me that Alligator said it was too rough and raw, and it was too distorted, which I thought that's what the blues is about.
Yes.
So Roof, he emailed me back and he said, hey, this was right when COVID was happening. It was a terrible time, really, but he flew over, thank God. And he saw me at Blind Willie's. I ended up working there during the pandemic, but it was a cool club that we used to play at. And yeah, he saw us, and at the end of the show, he said, let's meet in the morning. And we met at a coffee shop in the morning. He says, I want you. He handed me a contract. He said, this is the best blues act that I've seen in the last 5 years, and I want to sign you. So I was like, to me, who was starving and broke, I was like, sign me up. And they've been very good for us. We really appreciate them, and they've definitely got us to from playing little clubs to blues festivals all over the world.
I mean, I can only agree with him, because I to come back to Left My Soul in Memphis album, which is the first one that you sent me. I was really blown away, because you were young, and that was, to my knowledge, your first CD in the blues kind of scene. And hearing what you were playing, I was just like, my God, this guy knows his thing. And then I remember was also looking on the internet and found out that you had a YouTube channel where you were demonstrating all the nice leaks of either Johnny Winter or Michael Bloomfield or anyone else. And I thought, okay, this guy did his homework. He paid his tribute to the master. So that was really amazing.
Yeah, that first Left My Soul in Memphis record is me just trying to sound like Bloomfield, to be honest.
Okay. So you have a record now since then, three great albums since 2019. To my ears, your blues are slightly evolving towards a more like soul-infused blues, even if we already discussed this is already very intervened. All these style of music are so close to each other, but I think this one, Capricorn, sound to me like, I wouldn't say more mature album, because that doesn't mean necessarily anything, because you're still pretty young, but it looks like it's a bit more like profound. I don't know how to express this feeling, you know. The first one was like, okay, let's show those guys my love for the blues, and I go and I record, I don't know, 11 or 12 songs. The second one was already kind of more not arranged. I don't, I'm a little bit more produced, this for sure, and also a bit more diverse in the sound and in the presentation of the band. But I think this one really is like a step forward, since
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
and really the fact also that you also record with you have now this saxophonist, which is excellent. They did it, so which way was it going? Did you hire this guy because you were looking to explore more the soul aspect, or was it the contrary, that he joined the band and then you felt that that's a good idea, maybe to go more towards the soul?
Yeah, so funny story. It goes back to Al Green thing. Basically, we had this Al Green show in Atlanta, tribute show,
Okay.
and I needed a horn player, and he was recommended to me by another horn player, and we just had good chemistry. And I was like, excuse me, and I was like, hey man, you want to play a few shows with us on the road? And it was literally just, he came on the road with us, and I was like, I kind of told him, I was like, man, I don't want you to go, man. You know, the fans, everybody's loving him, and he has such a good sound, and he makes it sound a little bit more jazzier, if you will.
Yeah.
And so yeah, Noah he's been a great addition to the band, and yeah, it's been great, man. I can't say the best for him, man. I mean, and we're doing a show this Saturday, and we're gonna have, every once in a while when the money's there, we have a horn section, you know, for a big show. That's the goal, honestly, by next year, is to have you know, a two-piece horn section, and probably Leah, our background singer, full-time. So
okay, great.
Yeah.
So would you rather get like a two saxophone player, or would you get rather like a trumpet or a trombone? What would be your choice if you would have the choice to hire the perfect sideman for the horn section?
Probably baritone. I'm a baritone freak, man. I love that old soul, you know, where it's just super low, and we've done, matter of fact, the show this Saturday is going to be with baritone, and I just, with Noah's, I think it's he'll kill me if I say it wrong, but I think he has an alto sax, and yeah, thank God, and with that and a baritone, I mean, with like high and low, it just sounds so wide range, like you said. Yeah, it's
cool.
Great.
Yeah, I hope I have the chance to see you one day in France, and then we can.
Yeah, well, I just got a message from my manager. He was like, because we're doing that Bonamassa Blues Cruise next year, going to Croatia and stuff, and they said, hey, leave this time schedule before you guys go out there, because we're gonna be putting you out in Europe, and I know we got a lot of love out in France, so hopefully we can come up there, man.
Cool, that's perfect. That's great to hear that. So on the album you have I think nine of the songs are originals, right? And two covers. Would you say that your songwriting has evolved, and in which way? If you compare, not of course to your previous band, but maybe rather to between Left My Soul in Memphis and this album, do you see kind of evolution, or the way you think about it?
Yeah, definitely. I knew when we were doing this record, I knew I going back to the Crossroads. I knew that I couldn't do another 12 bar blues, you know, because Little Black Flies was really, really. I just wanted to capture what we sounded like live in the studio.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was great, but I can't keep making every record like that, just having 12 bar blues. And so I'm, you know, as every artist is, they're always evolving and they're trying to figure out how they can, you know, with each album sound good and please their fans, and then please themselves at the same time. And that's really what I want to do with Capricorn, is like focus on the deeper lyrics, focus on better songwriting, but at the same time having that old school feel of doing everything live with the musicians. So that's kind of the mentality of Capricorn.
Okay, cool. I must say that in the Little Black Flies album, I really dig a lot 3 a.m. in Chicago. This is probably my favorite song of all time because it sounds so relaxed and at the same time a bit like melancholic. And the way you sing this song, and not only on the record, because I watched several of your concerts or your songs in the pubs or that you have on YouTube. And I really think that this song is something which represents you very well.
Yeah, it's that song. You know, we thought, I really thought Little Black Flies, the song itself, was going to buy me a house. But it's funny because that was the song. I mean, that it's a big song on the album for sure, and live. But the 3 a.m. in Chicago is gotten to be the point where it's the biggest song of the show and on online and everything. And we love playing it in Chicago, man. People just freak out, like everybody sings it, and it's definitely a fun one to play in Chicago for sure.
Cool, that's great. That's great. So we already talked about Noah Seals, which have joined you for this new album, but there is also quite a long list of musicians, of guests that you have been incorporating for different songs, and there's some numbers like, for example, "But to Make Me Leave Home" or "Down Along the Cove," which have like a funky flavor. It evokes me like a patch of I don't know, Dr. John, Allman Brothers, or even kind of a Little Fit song.
Yeah,
especially when you play slide. Do you agree with what I could hear in this?
So with Down on the Cove, when we went to Capricorn, part of the deal, and I was a little pissed at the first time when they said this, that they said that you had to do a Capricorn song that was recorded there, because I was like, I just want to record my tune. But I'm glad that we did this, because we did a tune. Down on the Cove was done by Johnny Jenkins, who's a great Macon blues artist, and that was the Allman Brothers backing. And
yes, that's right. Before even the Allman, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It was Dwan on guitar and
yeah, it was basically the Allman Brothers backing Johnny Jenkins on this whole album. And yeah, it was done in the room that we cut it in, just in 1970. So it was pretty crazy. But I will be honest, JP. I got to be honest, and I'm noticing this in interviews and everything. People are thinking that's me on slide. That's not me on slide. That's Dustin McCook. And I was just talking to him on the phone today. Dustin's from Macon, Georgia.
Okay,
and he's the best slide player. I mean, I call him my Dwayne Allman plug-in, because literally I can bring him in any song, and he plays, you know, where everyone tries to play like Derek Trucks now or something like that. He plays almost in his own style too, but he plays a lot like Dwayne Allman. And man, I knew that when we were going down to Macon, Georgia, and doing an album in Capricorn, if we're going to do an album in Macon, I had to get him on board. And as soon as we released the album, there's a video of us cutting that track in the studio live. So I can't wait to put that out. I mean, you get to see him. I mean, it's me in the vocal booth, and we got Cody, the guitar player, my brother bass, organ, whirly, conga. I mean, everything is just done in the studio like that, and done. I think we did that song in 2 takes, and that was it.
Oh, fabulous! So it's really like playing with a bit the ghost of the musician, the prestigious musician, which have been recording in this studio, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's what's what's so crazy about that studio, man. I did an interview for Making Radio about probably 2021, and the guy was like, "Hey, you want to go see Capricorn?" And I was like, I thought it was, you know, in shambles and whatever. And it's funny. So we walk across the street, and it was literally equivalent of being teleported. Like it was like, because I've been to modern studios, I've been to old studios, and you know, like with Sun Studios in Memphis, it's really cool, but you can tell like it's made to look old.
Yeah,
Like
it's
they
rebuilt
can't,
kind.
yeah, they can't have the original asbestos tiles, you know.
Yeah,
But with Capricorn, it was everything was untouched. It was like there's still the burlap drapes on the wall. There was literally a cigarette burn where Dwayne Allman left his cigarette burning. I mean, it was just
oh, wow.
it's just stuff like that, and it immediately put us in a mentality of like, okay, we're in a serious holy place, man. So we all had fun. You know, we had a few beers, we relaxed, ate some pizza, but you know, at the end of the day, we were like, you know, we're in very holy ground, and we gotta give our 100%, you know, to give respect to everybody that came through here, you know.
Yeah, fabulous. It really sounds good. I mean, the whole album sounds really great, but these couple of songs really like kick me and move me. So that's it's really wonderful.
Yeah,
It seems
yeah.
also.
I was gonna say at the end of Yellow Alligator, like a lot of the tracks, especially at the end of that one, you'll hear, because I'm just so focused when we're doing studio records. You know, you know, I can't sit still. I'm like, and you'll hear at the end, I'm like, all right, let's move on. Let's do the next one.
Yeah, yeah, that's fabulous. I mean, you have a drive. I mean, one can hear that you're pushing the whole thing, and that's
Well,
really
yeah, and you know, not you know, I'm a lot of the musicians like to partake, you know, smoking grass and stuff, and I'm totally fine with that because it helps a lot of people, you know, play. Sometimes I can't do it when I'm trying to focus, but yeah, I'm definitely the type of guy. I'm like, all right, you know, I like to be in the control seat. That's why I think later down my life, you know, I would love to be a producer and stuff, but man, there's just something about it. I mean, having like 11 guys in the studio, horn section, background vocals, and everyone listening to you, it's pretty. I mean, I take that role seriously, and
yeah,
I love it, man.
yeah, for sure. It's serious business, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
And about the new album Capricorn, it seems to me that there's a bit less guitar, of course, than maybe because you wanted to be a slight departure from your previous, like, let's say, blues album. So it was a conscious choice to maybe put the other instrument a bit more in the spotlight, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, I've had people ask me like, well, where's all your guitar solos and stuff? But to me, honestly, man, you know, if people want to hear my guitar chops, go to YouTube and go to Little Black Flies and Left My Soul in Memphis. For this album, man, you know, I really wanted to focus because we were doing a lot of stuff live in the studio. You know, I mean, live I can do it, and I can solo and all that stuff and sing, but you know, when in this album, I really wanted to serve the song, you know, and
Exactly. Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that was all nailed down. That's why I got guys like excuse me, I got guys like Dusty McCook and Cody Matlock and all these players who are tremendous players on their own. And it's kind of like I was talking to somebody. It's like if Derek Trucks was in the room with me, you know, in the studio, it's like I'm not gonna solo. I'm gonna let Derek Trucks solo. and that was my mentality. I had just the heaviest cats playing on the record, man, and letting them do their thing. And for a lot of those guys, that was the first time that they've really tracked that kind of style of music on a record, you know, like because all of us, we all play this type of music around town and stuff, but not often do we have the opportunity to get together and go into a legendary studio where like classic records were made, and we just had that mentality, and it just worked, man. It was great though. So yeah, I took a step back from guitar solos a little bit, but yeah, when that Down Low on the Cove video comes out, probably when the record drops, you'll see like that's exactly how the record was made. And I wish we had every song recorded, but I didn't have that kind of money. Recorded on video is what I'm saying.
Yeah, there is one song which also kind of stood up because it's a bit like a spotlight on your backup vocal singers. It's Mary Don't You Weep, nice gospel song. Can you tell us a bit?
Yeah, so that is I wish she was my background singer. That is a actual gospel singer named She goes by KD French, and that's capital K, capital D, and then French like France, French. But and she I knew of her from my drummer at the time who played on Capricorn. I have a new drummer now. We're like Spinal Tap. We've been through 30 drummers, but and I knew of this fantastic gospel singer, and I heard her, and I was like, that was one of the songs we did actually at our studio. So there's a few, I think that's like 2 or 3 tunes that we kind of did majority at Capricorn, but kind of finished it at our studio, our dad's living room, as we should call it. But KD came. I told her, I was like, could you just come to the house? And she came with her husband and her 2 kids. Her 2 kids sat on the couch and played on their iPad, and she sang, and it just absolutely blew the roof off the house. And so yeah, I knew that she was just killed it. She was perfect for it. And I can't get into too much details, but I'm trying to, in the future, I would love to do a gospel record with her, like do a Amazing Grace, like Aretha Franklin style record. But that's down the road. But yeah, Katie is absolutely wonderful. But as far as other background singers, we had Leah Belfazer. She was on Yellow Alligator and a lot of tunes. And then another great singer. Her name is Chelsea Shagg, and she sang on, I think, Misery or Missouri. I can't. We go back and forth whether it's called Missouri or Misery. But when we're in Missouri, we call it Misery, but everywhere else we call it Missouri. Anyway, but yeah, she killed it on that tune. She can hit really high notes. But going back to it, it's like, you know, I could totally do all this by myself. But that's I wanted the instruments of the people themselves to shine on this record. You know,
That's wonderful. We are getting close to the time that I fixed. So maybe we can talk about your plans for the future. I know that you are constantly touring into the US. So you were already mentioning that you will do the cruise of Joe Bonamassa, right?
Yeah, we got a busy 2023 already, man. With the record coming out, obviously we're gonna be going out promoting that. We're doing our big show this Saturday. It's like the biggest show we've ever done in Atlanta. But I'll jump the next year. We're doing opening up for Tedeschi Trucks in Savannah. We're looking forward to that. We've been wanting to get that crew for a while. We're playing the Fillmore in San Francisco, opening up for Galactic. We're doing the Legendary Blues Cruise, going to the Bahamas, and then we got on February. We're just out. I mean, you just go check our online. We're everywhere. And then I think August. This is why I'm terrible with dates and memory. But I think, and then we go on the Joe Bonamassa's cruise, and he's been very helpful to us. He's shouted us out, like at shows. Like people come to our shows and just say, you know, we're here because Joe told us to come see you, and that's a huge honor, man. Yeah. But yeah, so as I was saying, that's our goal, is to, if we're going all the way to Europe, you know, to get on a boat, that don't make sense to not play a few shows over there, you know.
Of course, yeah. Okay, that's fabulous. That was really nice from you to discuss about the record and all the stuff. And I wish you.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate all the support that you've been giving me over the years, man. And I'm glad we could work this out.
You deserve it. So let's say we cross our fingers that we see each other in France in 20.
I believe. Well, as a matter of fact, after this, I'll definitely make sure to tell my manager, like, hey, we gotta get a France date. What's a good club or a place you think we should play that would be good for us?
Well, for sure, in Paris, you could go to the New Morning, for example, or you know, there's a couple of very nice places in Paris. L'Élysée Montmartre. I think there's a couple of places. I left Paris 30 years ago, so I'm not.
Yeah, if you just want to email me like two or three places that would be good for me to play, I could relay that. I could relay that information to my agent, and we could try to make it work, man.
Sure, I'll do that.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. I'm about to head down to the country, go see my grandparents. But man, I appreciate everything, and just holler at me if you ever need me.
Cool. See you, Eddie.
All right, take it easy, man.